All right, number 14, Cool Bob says, why should a person be Christian over another monotheistic religion which claims to be the truth, such as Islam? So I like this question for a couple of reasons. For one thing, the idea of that monotheism is the starting point is a good thing, I think, right? Because all the arguments, people miss this. All the arguments for God, they don't work for every religion. Like they don't even work for Mormonism. For instance, Mormonism teaches that the universe is eternal, that matter, time, space, matter, energy, that those have always existed eternally, and that God was not always God. Our God once lived on near a place called Kolob, which is debatable whether Kolob was a star or was a planet. Doesn't really matter. The point is that he lived over there in some other solar system in like a humanoid form, and he was just good enough, and he worshipped his God to get exalted to become God, and then he made a bunch of babies in heaven. We were all spiritual babies in heaven, and then we came to earth for a chance to become gods ourselves. Now, that is what real Mormonism teaches, and some Mormons, the way they back off of that nowadays, Joseph Smith would have been pretty upset with you. But maybe you don't like him that much anymore. I don't know. Mormonism's changing. So yeah, but my point in saying all that is to say Mormonism, it doesn't work. All the arguments for God are like this eternal, all-powerful being that's always been God, that is the creator of all things. Like this is how the arguments for God work. When I look at fine-tuning, it's because God's creator of the universe, not just that he organized it a little better. That's not the case. So that doesn't work for Mormonism. It could work for Islam. Sort of. Many of the arguments for God could work for Islam. In fact, the Kalam cosmological argument was promoted by Islamic thinkers in the past because it does point to this monotheistic God. But Islam has a few problems, and here's some reasons why I would take Christianity just on the description of God over Islam. For one thing, the prophecies and the statements in Islam in the Quran, the very few that are there, don't come to pass. The Quran has irreconcilable contradictions that are not just like people pulling verses out of context, but it claims that it's from the Hebrew in the Old Testament, and it's Christian, that Jesus himself was a Christian, was a Muslim. This is what Muslims will claim. The idea is that it comes from the Bible, yet Islam denies the death of Christ, the resurrection of Christ, and it also denies that Jesus is the Son of God. And so what I'm saying here is not, don't be Islam because Islam's not Christian. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, there's an internal contradiction in claiming to come from historical Christianity, but disagreeing with the foundational tenets of historical Christianity. So to rescue this, they go, well, the Bible's been changed. It never really originally said that, except that we have strong evidence that it did always say that even the Son of Man statements in Jesus, that even liberal scholars will say go back to Jesus, even the most liberal ones. And so I think that we've got strong evidence against Islam there. We also have things like the doctrine of the Trinity, which I know some skeptics think is a weak point in Christianity. But God is love. And in Islam, God is not love. He's not love, not doctrinally, that's not true, but also metaphysically, as you think about the concept of God, you have God in three persons, so there's always love in the Trinity. There's this tripersonal nature of God. So God is, experiencing a loving, compassionate interaction and relationship within himself. Whereas in Islam, this is not the case. There's other issues with Islam too, metaphysically, that it just breaks. So basically, Islam borrows from Christianity. This is historically true. It butchers it. It takes out the central tenets of it, and it loses some of the elements of God, but it's still monotheistic. So some of the arguments will work for Islam. I wish I had more time to think through that and give you a stronger answer, but there's some thoughts for you. I hope they help.